It was 3:07 in the morning when he found them again. Not the chat, not the photos, the voice notes. Ethan wasn't even looking for them. That was the strange part. He had opened his phone because he couldn't sleep. That was all. Just another quiet night, dark room, TV still on, with the sound muted. Rain tapping softly against the apartment window. The kind of night where your brain suddenly remembers things you spent months trying not to think about. He was sitting on the edge of his couch, oversized hoodie, one leg shaking slightly. Scrolling through old apps he barely used anymore. Instagram, closed. TikTok, closed. Messages, closed. Then, somehow, without planning to, he opened their old chat. Her name was still there. Pinned. Even after 8 months. He had never removed it. Not because he was holding on. At least, that's what he kept telling himself. It just felt wrong to move it. The screen lit his face softly in the dark room. And for a second, nothing happened. Just silence. Then he scrolled up, slowly, like someone walking through an old house they used to live in. Old messages, random memes, photos of coffee, missed calls, tiny conversations about absolutely nothing. And somehow, those were the hardest ones to read. Not the emotional messages, not the serious conversations, the normal ones, the simple ones. You awake? Guess what happened? This guy at work is so weird. Look outside, RN. Those hurt more, because they sounded alive, real. Like two people who genuinely thought they'd keep talking forever. He stopped scrolling when he saw the small microphone icon. Voice note, 0:12 seconds. His thumb hovered over it. He stared at the screen for a few seconds longer than necessary. Then he pressed play. Static first. Soft background noise. Then her voice. You seriously left your jacket here again? Ethan froze. Actually froze, like his body forgot to move for a second. Her laugh came right after, small, natural, not dramatic, not emotional, just normal. And somehow that made it worse. He replayed it immediately, again, then again. Outside, rain kept hitting the window softly. Inside, his apartment suddenly didn't feel quiet anymore. He leaned back slowly against the couch, phone still in his hand, listening again. You seriously left your jacket here again? That tiny laugh, the way she dragged the word again. He remembered that day instantly. October. Cold outside. She was standing near the kitchen counter, wearing his gray hoodie, hair tied up badly, because she was too tired to care, half smiling at him, while holding his jacket, like it annoyed her. It wasn't even an important memory. That's what bothered him. Why did he remember that? Why not birthdays? Or the breakup? Or something bigger? Maybe. Small memories feel more real later. The voice note ended. Silence again. Ethan swallowed slowly and looked down at the chat. There were dozens of voice notes. Some short. Some over a minute long. He didn't realize she used to send that many. Or maybe he did. He just never thought they would matter later. He pressed another one. Maya thinks you hate her, by the way. A pause. She literally asked me yesterday. Another laugh. You should probably text her back sometimes. He smiled without meaning to. Small smile. Tired smile. The kind that disappears quickly. Maya. He hadn't heard that name in months either. Back then, Maya practically lived at their apartment. Always sitting on the floor, always stealing snacks from the kitchen, always acting like she knew everything about everyone. He remembered one night specifically. Rain again. Same couch. Maya pointing at him while eating cereal straight from the box. You know she cares about you way more than you realize, right? At the time, Ethan laughed it off. Now he wished he listened more carefully. He locked his phone suddenly, too fast, like he got caught doing something embarrassing. The room went dark again, only the TV light flickering softly across the walls. This is stupid, he muttered quietly to himself. But he unlocked the phone again anyway, because now his chest felt strange, heavy. Not dramatic, not movie-like, just full. He pressed another voice note, longer this time. 1 minute, 43 seconds. At first, there were only walking sounds. Then her breathing. Then, okay, don't get mad. He already remembered this one. I think I accidentally told my mom about you. Ethan laughed quietly. Actually laughed this time, because he remembered panicking immediately when she said that. Back then, relationships still felt fragile to him, like talking about them too much could somehow ruin them. Her voice continued. She asked why I smile at my phone all the time. Small laugh again. So technically, this is your fault. He paused the voice note halfway through, ran a hand over his face slowly. It felt wrong how real her voice still sounded, like she wasn't gone, like she was just in another room. That was the dangerous thing about voice notes. Photos freeze people, messages flatten them, but voices stay alive. He stood up and walked toward the kitchen, opened the fridge, didn't take anything, closed it again. His phone stayed in his hand the whole time. At 3:42 a.m., he was standing in his kitchen, listening to a girl who hadn't spoken to him in 8 months. And somehow that felt normal. He leaned against the counter and stared at the dark apartment. The breakup itself wasn't explosive. That's what made it confusing later. No cheating, no screaming, no dramatic goodbye. Things just slowly became quieter. Replies got shorter. Calls happened less. Small misunderstandings stopped getting fixed. At some point, they both started acting normal instead of honest. And somehow, that became the end. He opened another voice note. This one was older, nearly 2 minutes. You know what your problem is? Her voice sounded younger somehow, lighter. You always act like things don't affect you. A pause, even when they obviously do. Ethan looked away from the phone immediately. He remembered this conversation too. They were driving home after a party, windows fogged slightly from the cold, music playing quietly. He joked about something. She didn't laugh. Then she sent him that voice note later, instead of saying it directly. Back then, he thought she was overthinking. Now, he wasn't so sure. The voice continued. You disappear when stuff gets serious. Another pause. Like emotionally serious. He stopped the audio there, because suddenly, the apartment felt too quiet again. He walked back to the couch slowly, sat down, opened the chat, scrolled higher, higher, higher. Months of memories moving past his screen. Summer photos, random late-night conversations, stupid arguments about movies, screenshots, typos, inside jokes that made no sense anymore. Then he reached the beginning, the very first voice note she ever sent him. 0.07 seconds. He pressed play. Wait, "This is your actual voice?" That was it. Then laughing. He stared at the screen for a long time after it ended. Funny how relationships start from almost nothing. One message, one joke, one random conversation, and later, you can build an entire life around that person without noticing it happening.